Still having problems. 4 out of 5 rounds. Uberti, a remake of the Colt 1849 pocket gun. I've worked on it 3 times now. I'm still, I don't know about this thing. I want to like it, but anyway, Terry here. Firearm malfunctions notwithstanding. Welcome to another afternoon quickie. Despite this slow start, today I'm just going to be talking your ear off a little bit about when is it okay and when is it not okay to use deadly force in self-defense or defense of our property. Yeah, believe it or not, sometimes defending ourselves even can be illegal. Yeah, I know. Stick around. First of all, keep in mind that this video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. I'm not a lawyer and I'm not giving legal advice. You and only you are solely responsible for the consequences of any decisions you make. The opinions expressed in this video, well, really in any video that I make, are entirely mine based on my understanding, and I may or may not be correct. And of course, you're certainly free to agree or disagree. But a certain case comes to mind that I think clearly illustrates this situation. And also keep in mind that I'm not completely fully versed on every single detail of this case. So I'm going to be kind of vague in some cases so that I don't unintentionally misrepresent the facts. I'm going to stick with what I know about it. But in a small town in the United States recently, a man was apparently, let's call him Frank, sitting in his own home, minding his own business, when a couple of people broke in, and the news media has been calling it burglary, but when somebody breaks into a person's house when they are in the house, it's called home invasion, not burglary. So he was a victim of a home invasion. And he shot and killed them both. And was not only charged with and tried for, but was then convicted of first-degree murder. Hold on here. Wait. This guy was convicted of murder for killing a couple of people, invading his home while he was in it. Well, I mean, how's that happen in the United States, right? Well, outside of maybe Oregon, California, New York, maybe, which this was, by the way. Well, things are not exactly as they seem, and are not exactly as they've been being presented by the social media and news people. So let's do a little background information here. First of all, this took place in a small town where a group of teenagers had decided to go on a burglary spree and had been breaking into places all over town. For one reason or another, whatever the reason, the police were either unable or unwilling to really do anything to stop it. In fact, Frank's house had been burglarized 12 times. Yeah, 12 times. So Frank lived alone, had a day job, right? And every time his place got hit, he was at work. He'd come home and he'd find it had been broken into. So he upgraded the locks, security systems, and came home one day and it had been broken into. So he installed the security systems, cameras and stuff, and he still got broken into. And he reported every one of these burglaries to the police, and it just seems that not much was ever done about it. So in a final act of, I guess, frustration and desperation, Frank decided that, if the law couldn't do anything to stop these kids, it was time that the people in this town stood up and took care of it themselves. And that's exactly what he did. Frank bought a gun, and one day he got his chance. He saw a car that he didn't recognize cruising slowly through the neighborhood, had a couple of teenagers in it. And Frank decided that these kids were scoping out another place to commit a burglary, maybe number 13 on him, just checking to see maybe if he's home or not. So Frank did something that I'm convinced is what got him convicted of murder. In fact, if I didn't know anything else at all about this case other than what he did next, I'm firmly convinced it would get him convicted of first degree murder anywhere in the United States, maybe even in Europe. First, Frank moved his car out of his driveway over to his neighbor's driveway to make it look like no one was home. And then he went inside, turned the lights out, sat down with his gun, and quietly waited, pretending like the place was empty. Sure enough, a few hours later, those teenagers came by, broke in. Frank shot and killed them. Okay, so here's the thing: the prosecutor was able to make a very good case that Frank set a trap for them, and that's illegal anywhere in the United States. Okay, so you might be thinking, okay, so what? So what if he set a trap for them, right? He was in his house, his property. The castle doctrine allows people to use deadly force in defense of themselves, their loved ones, or their property. He wasn't out on the street hunting people, right? He was sitting inside his house. He was in his house. Well, true, but by creating the impression that nobody was home when he was in fact home, the prosecutor again was able to convince the jury that he intentionally created a false opportunity that encouraged those two teenagers to break the law. Now, yeah, okay, I agree, it's a sure bet that if they decided to stay in their own homes and not be going around breaking into other people's homes, they probably would not have been shot breaking into one. But the castle doctrine sets limits on how far we can go in defending ourselves and our property. It's kind of like setting a booby trap, like wiring a shotgun up to a door. Yeah, it's inside your private property, right? No one's got any business or right to be going into your private property, but it's still illegal. You can still be charged with premeditated murder and get convicted and go to prison for it because the law makes setting traps for inflicting bodily harm or death on another human expressly illegal for any reason, anywhere, anytime. And see, if Frank had captured those two teenagers and held them at gunpoint until the police showed up, everything would have been fine. In fact, he would have been being interviewed by the local news media as a hero. If he'd jumped out at him with his gun waving in the air and even fired a few rounds up in the air or down into the floor, because a person in most places that I know of can fire a gun inside their own home. It's a little weird, but they can. And, just scared the shit out of those kids and ran away in terror. He still would have been okay because the odds are word would have gotten around. This guy's not kidding. Stay away from his house. He's got a gun. He'll kill you. But he didn't even try any of those two options. Frank went straight from security system cooperating with the police to I'm going to set up a situation where if they come into my house, I'm going to kill them. And I've heard people say that I ever catch somebody breaking into my house, I'm going to kill them. Well, see, the problem with that is if you're just sitting home watching TV, or you're in bed asleep and, you wake up, someone's breaking into your house. Yeah, castle doctrine kicks into effect. But when you move your car, turn out the lights, hide it in the dark and make it look like no one's home, trap. That's the difference. Frank had no intentions of capturing those kids. He had no intentions of frightening them away. His only intention was to kill them. And he created a situation encouraging them to come into his house so he could do exactly that. Now, I understand the guy got robbed 12 times. I understand being frustrated. I understand he was afraid, maybe even a little paranoid, all right? But he went straight to, I'm going to have to kill these people. I'm going to make an example. I'm going to stop this. I'm going to kill these people. And that's what got him in trouble with the law. That's what moved him from being hero to villain, first degree murder, and probably the rest of his life in prison now. So If you want to set a trap to catch burglars, maybe use one of those nets, those cool movie nets instead of a gun, the ones that pick the people up out of the grass, raise them up into the air and holds them safely and harmlessly until the police show up. But, really, even then, you still might get convicted of kidnapping and maybe even sued for inflicting great severe distress. Well, maybe in Oregon, California, probably in New York. Yeah. Anyway, that's all I've got today for another afternoon quickie. Thanks for watching. And remember, like I said, I ain't a lawyer. I ain't giving legal advice. So, hey, don't listen to anything I say. Click that like and subscribe button and see you next time.